Bring them out, and we should be going live here, so. Bazinga. Wentz is now gone. My prediction is still Jimmy Garoppolo and draft a rookie, which, yeah, might be Desmond Ridder. I think that would make sense. I like Ridder, especially after the combine. Like I always think he's been a good leader for Cincinnati, but some of the stories that kind of came out really make you like the guy a little bit more, in my personal opinion. We are live. Here we are. So, I'll share this around here. So, yeah, I mean, Siglin, let's start off with you. I mean, let's get some vocal communication going, buddy. What is going on? His chances, Wentz, LMAO, LMFAO, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? As Carson Wentz is gone, ladies and gentlemen, he is gone from the Indianapolis Colts. He's gone. What is up? The boy Chris Medina is up in here. Dude, we got like 8 people, and we got a surprising amount for a midday streamer here. We got 10. Yeah, everyone's here to see Siglin's sorrows.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, everyone.
Stay on here. You believe.
All right. Yeah, and we're done putting Band-Aids on quarterbacks, they say.
I thought you were going to back out, so I think that I had you getting my season instead of that.
The boy Lane, who is absent at work right now, says, Siggy, you down bad. Yeah, $70 million to spend on a moderate free agency class. Mike Shaw, let's get you some screen time, buddy. One of the best football guys I know. He's got the head to store it in. So why don't you go ahead? What do you think about this one here, bud?
I mean, good move for Washington. They really needed a quarterback. Heineke was not the answer. Maybe got the worst production from the quarterback position all season long. So once really cleaned up the turnovers last year, I think he has a chance to keep him around 500. Still need 2 more pieces of there. Still not a contender for Washington. I think it's really interesting that who the Indianapolis Colts will have as their next quarterback.
I'm happy to receive what we did.
What was the trade?
So the trade, I believe, was a second rounder this year.
This year's second, this year's third. We give them Carson Wentz and our second.
And I'm just fucking myself, apparently.
Third rounder could become a second rounder if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps.
2 and a 3.
Or 2 and a 2.
Salary cap relief.
All right, boys, can you guys speak up a little bit? We're having some audio issues regarding y'all.
Right in the mic. Is that better?
Test 1, 2.
Give me a thumbs up, Chance.
Give me a thumbs up. Hard to hear Siggy and Mike.
The mic's on?
I don't have no stereo in my headphones yet. That's what I'm trying to do. It's they're on. You guys plugged in all the way?
Yep.
There we go. How's it working, Chris? Our resident
Sounds like we got it.
over the comment section sound guy here. So.
You guys hear us now?
There we go. How's it working, Chris? Our resident
Sounds like we got it.
over the comment section sound guy here. So. There's some feedback. All right. Sounds all right.
Well, how do you guys want to start breaking this one down?
All right. So I mean, we're gonna do a mock draft, right? I think we're gonna have a mock draft up in this bitch here too.
Yep. I got my new 1.0 after all the fuckery.
Yeah, there we go. Now that we, I think Mike we'll boost you up a little bit here, but get you a little bit louder. These mics, you gotta deep throat them, get them right in the gullet here.
All right, I got it pretty close.
Just get them right in the gullet. But now I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off. We'll talk kind of about the combine, I think, through it. But I mean, just go through and we'll just do a mock draft. I think, because sitting with the combine here, we've had a couple of big moves. We've had, I think the biggest move was obviously Russell Wilson going to the Broncos. So, Mikey boy, in your best big boy voice possible, because of our sound, I don't know. You got Russ. What do you think about that? What is your reaction there?
Broncos are back. It's been 6 long years. You guys, people that really part of Broncos country, understand the struggle. We had a Joe Flacco year in there, the Drew Lock, Paxton Lynch, and as of today, we're sitting here with a all-pro level quarterback with some young talent around us.
A lot of talent.
Long time coming. Super Bowl 50 was so long ago. Super Bowl 48 was so long ago. 13 straight losses to the Kansas City Chiefs. But after all this, we finally got our quarterback. And it's just a great day for Broncos Nation, Broncos country. We here.
Yeah, and obviously as a Raiders fan, I hate it. I absolutely hate it with all my heart. But I do think Denver kind of fleeced them a little bit.
With no lube.
Yeah, I mean, because what are you doing? You're getting a backup quarterback. You're getting a off-injured tight end who's, when he's healthy, he's a good tight end, but I wouldn't say, he's a game changer. He's not, that Kelsey, Waller, Kittle, like that game-changing elite tight end that we kind of talk about. And then Shelby Harris, while I love Shelby Harris, he's, 32, 33 years old. He's on the back end of his career as a defensive end. So you got, cap fillers. And then you turn around and, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, that's awesome. I think for Denver, it kind of harshens it a little bit less that this is a really deep draft. You still have a second, you still have 2 threes. You still got a lot of draft capital and a moderate amount of draft space, or cap space, in order to go out in free agency. So I think Denver hits their biggest home run, gets their biggest need taken care of, with some flexibility to really make a complete roster. So like I said, as a Raiders fan, I hate it, but I give this trade an A+ for Denver. Seattle, I think if you're going to signal the end, and this is the only team, as it was reported that Russ would approve going to, that they had a good package for. Because you would have think Washington or Philly would have given them better, as what was rumored. Yeah, especially with all the picks that they have. And then Washington going out and trading picks for Wentz today. So, I don't know.
Deep draft.
How deep is it, Siglin?
We're going to get the 5th best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah. Well, anyways, boys, let's start it off with number 1 here in the draft. Who do we have going number 1 in the 2022 NFL Draft?
I think still after the combine, the tape he showed, the level he's played at, and you got to protect the future. The issue was they were letting him get sacked a lot last year. He was throwing a bunch of picks. He was under pressure. You need to protect him. You give him Evan O'Neal out of Alabama.
So I think Evan Neal out of Alabama, I think he's the best tackle prospect. I don't know if he's the best, probably all-around tackle. You know what I mean? Usually there's just that one tackle who just kind of takes it, or that one player that just takes the cake as far as footwork, film, everything. I think Evan Neal is kind of a combination of he performed well at Alabama, but he's got the most potential. He's a mountain. He's 6'7", 350. He's athletic. He played at the highest level of college football, in the SEC at Alabama. What is up, Josh Lowe, from Low Bros Cards as well, showing some love here in the chat. But yeah, Evan Neal, I think I would pick him as my first pick, but I know, Shaw, you actually went in a little bit of a different direction, so I want to kick it on over to you, because I agree with Sig. I think Evan Neal does go number 1 because you protect the future. But what do you do?
I went edge Aiden Hutchinson because Cam Robinson has kind of been their left tackle, and they just franchise tagged him. So I feel like the Jags might go after some edge.
I could see Aiden Hutchinson. I do have him number 1 on my big board. I think he's the best player in this class. I think he's the combination of the skill that you're going to see out of someone like a Kayvon Thibodeau, someone who tests well, someone who kind of pops off on their tape, but also the consistent tape, because at the same time, Aiden Hutchinson was a consistent threat, I think, game after game, down after down at Michigan. He's a game wrecker. So I think he'd be my number 1 player. I can definitely see if the Jags go out and they get someone like, I mean, if they get like a Teron Armstead, I think this automatically becomes Hutchinson. Like, you know, if tackle comes out of play for them, and also with them retaining Cam Robinson, I think Hutchinson grows more likely, but right now I'm keeping Evan Neal.
I think Cincinnati pays Teron Armstead with a blank check.
They have the cap space, because, I mean, let's bring up over the cap right now. Whatever the fuck it is.
But yeah, Evan Neal definitely the safest pick.
I think Evan Neal would be a safe tackle pick, but also, I mean, with Icky and Cross, it really just kind of depends on what team scheme you're going for, because they're both top 10 tackles. I mean, not even in this draft, but traditional ones.
A lot of people have switched Icky to number 1.
A lot of people are talking Icky number 1 too. Siglin, I know you kind of almost went Icky number 1. What holds you back with Evan Neal? I think, is it the ceiling that you kind of see with him?
I think it's the fact of you think of just the talent that he's played against over his whole career versus what Icky's had to deal with.
Well, yeah, 100% when you're playing at Bama. I mean, you're playing, you know, Auburn. You're going up against other Bama players in practice, you know, guys who are practice squad, you know, and you graduate 2 years from now, those guys are going to be first-round picks, you know, so.
Started at left tackle in 5 college football playoff games in 3 seasons.
Mm.
Yeah, you just have to look at it, and the tape is too good.
Yeah, Josh, we'll get to your Broncos. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about that with Seattle's pick in our little mock draft here. But, yeah, I mean, obviously Shaw here is fired up. You know, like you guys got your quarterback.
KC, we coming for you.
AFC West is the toughest division in football. It's not even close now.
I mean, it's crazy. You think they're all – I mean, I would go out on a limb and say all top 10 quarterbacks there. I mean, obviously, I know everybody's argument about Derek Carr. I'm going to sit on the table here, argue for him as a top 10 quarterback. But, I mean, even with Carr at 10, Herbert at like 8, 7, 9, kind of in that realm. Obviously, Mahomes and Wilson, have to – I think Mahomes, rounds out the top spot. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. I think now that Brady retires, there's not really a competition to that. I think you can throw up guys who maybe could be, but, I mean, they don't really have the numbers to back it up. The 4 AFC championship games, the Super Bowl title, the 2 Super Bowls. Like, Mahomes at this point is the best quarterback of this generation, just within 5 years, I think. But, at the end of the day, when you're talking Russ, you're talking a guy who still has a lot of tread left on the tires. So, like I said, easy enough to get back going on that, because that's all I researched yesterday was fucking Russell Wilson. I hate my life.
Let's cook, Russ.
Yep. But number 2, so I guess I would go Hutchinson here, but Mike, since you have Hutchinson going number 1, who do you have the Lions going with at number 2? You're kind of like the oddball here. We've shared our mock drafts, and ours stayed the same 1 through 5, it seems, but let's go with the oddball here. What do you got at number 2?
I'm going with my favorite player in this draft, the number 1 recruit in the 2019 recruiting class, Kayvon Thibodeau, University of Oregon.
No way, Javion Thibodeau? I mean Kayvon Thibodeau? Dude, honestly, bro, when I look at his film, it's Jadeveon Clowney all over again. And that's good and bad. That's both the good and the bad, because he pops. But fucking, bro, he disappears at times. Like, there's plays where, honestly, like, I think I watched a couple of, like, low-light films where you catch him literally just holding the guard up. Now, he's talented enough to just linear, like, hold the line of scrimmage, but he's not doing shit. Like, he's just sitting there, like, holding on, like, a run play. Like, there's no effort happening. And, like, I mean, someone of his skill could easily get through, tackle of, like, 3 or 4 yard loss, but not the case.
Yeah, I think that's why you're seeing him. Some people even think he's not falling out of the top 10 just because of the questions of effort, motivation, and motor. But I think if he's motivated, and I think he will be in his rookie year, he'll show all his talents and really be a game wrecker.
Sig, what do you think here? I mean, obviously we talk Hutchinson. We already kind of go over him. If not Hutchinson here, I mean, do you think Thibodeau is a number 2 player?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he had an amazing combine. It boosted his stock. He was quick off the edges. His 40 was right up there. And his agility turn, the fight drill. Guy's a disruptor. As someone who's watched him, Oregon fan, dude is a monster, and it really shows a difference when he's not on the field with us. We went from being ranked to unranked quick.
Yeah, My problem with Thibodeau is I think with his combine, he jumps up. I'm trying not to be biased on him and give him just the Jadeveon Clowney wash at this point. So I'd go with him at number 2, in this situation, just because I think the lines you already kind of addressed. Sewell, you have bigger needs, especially along the defensive line. But, I mean, that's a young, hungry team.
They had the worst pass rush in the NFL.
They had the worst pass rush in the entire NFL.
How unfortunate for the Lions, too, being back up in the top 2 without a franchise quarterback with as good of quarterback drafts as we've been seeing the last few years.
It's just got to suck.
They need one. Goff.
Maybe they're waiting for Williams.
Next year, yeah, they might be right back here in the top 5 next year, waiting to draft JT from Ohio State or Bryce Young.
JT Stroud.
Or CJ. CJ Stroud.
You think the Lions will be back picking top 5 again next year?
I would bet on it.
You don't think that Dan Campbell group gets a little bit more talent somehow, bites some kneecaps and gets 5-6 wins, moves themselves into that 7-8 pick area?
Without a few big free agent moves, most likely top 5 next year, I think.
Let's see, what are they even...
still paying Goff a fuckload of money.
Well, and that's the stupid part, was taking on that contract. I mean, I know you got the picks for Matty's staff, but...
That contract was not worth it.
Dude, you can't... I mean, I think you have to trade him. So I'm looking at over the cap right now. They can take on $5 million of dead cap, but save 26 if they were to trade him post-June 1. The problem is who the fuck takes on Jared Goff for $26 million?
Well, they wait for you to release him.
Yeah.
Take the dead
Well,
cap.
even then, cutting him post-June 1, you're taking on $20 million of dead cap space at that point. So if he clears waivers, I mean, you're only saving $10 million. I mean, off the actual cap, And they only entered the offseason with $26 million in cap space. They actually they got some money tied up. I mean, they got Trey Flowers making a decent chunk of coin, Taylor Decker, Romeo Aquara. I don't know. Lions to me are an interesting situation. I love their coach, but I don't see a lot of potential to build there. That you're going to have to find some guys.
Need skill players at wideout.
Yeah, Justin said Dan Campbell. I mean, looking Leia 6, 7, 8 with their pick. I don't know. I can see the Lions being someone to honestly trade back at 2. If someone really covets a Evan Neal, Hutchinson, because for me right now the top 3 is Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Neal. I think and Icky can slide into that conversation. I don't think Charles Cross did anything to slide in, but I think you have a top 3, top 4 who can go in that first 4 right there. And then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot. I think Kyle Hamilton didn't hurt his draft stock, but I think naturally with him staying level and other people improving, he might have slipped down some boards. I still love Kyle Hamilton. I mean, Sauce Gardner could really impress somebody to go up there. I mean, the top 10 is extremely fluid, but I think the top 3 you kind of see the same picks.
Yeah, those are the big 3.
Because Sig, who do you have at number 3 then on your mock draft? Do you have Kayvon?
Yep, that's dibs.
I have
Okay.
Neal.
Yeah.
I originally had Hamilton.
Yeah, I know in our first one you had Kyle Hamilton. I think we both had Kyle Hamilton going.
But Thibodeau he's a game changer.
So
Yeah, Josh is, I mean, seconding in on that, just on the contract with Jared Goff. Because obviously the Commanders took on Wentz's $28 million because you guys are free now.
You are correct, Josh.
Yeah, so... God, $70 million. What are you going to do with all that money?
J.C. Jackson better be the first fucking thing coming to town.
See, here's the thing, though. Did you see his merchandise he just released?
How much you guys got to pay him?
I'm just saying the merchandise he just released had a Las Vegas inspired T-shirt. So
Las Vegas is a cool town.
it is. It's a very cool town. There's also a football team there. That his old some of his coaches are now coaching on from the Patriots. So there's potential.
Maybe he
Potential.
wants to go join the old Raiders defensive coordinator.
That's true. Yeah, you guys have Gus now, don't you?
Yep.
Yep. Honestly, I think Casey Hayward would be a good stop for you guys. Like, because he balled out for us last year. I mean, Casey Hayward was a baller for us last year.
I think now that we have this money, we have to pay J.C. Jackson a shitload of money. Devontae Adams. The first thing we need to do, we need to go get a receiver and a cornerback, and then fill in whatever other holes. Maybe get like a offensive lineman, some other shit. It'll be easy. We'll figure it out.
Hopefully so. Hopefully you guys can beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville next year. That'd be a miracle in its own right.
You guys all fuck off.
But, all right, Sean, we all kind of had the same 3 picks. Where are we diverting at? We got the Jets at number 4. Where do we all kind of split from there off of this Hutchinson, Neal, Thibodeau train?
I have Icky.
What about you, Mikey?
I went with Kyle Hamilton, safety.
Okay. We'll start with you, Sig. Where do you kind of see Icky fitting in with the Jets? Because I also have Icky Ekwonu from North Carolina State going to New York.
I just think that they've added Ali Vera-Tucker. You got Mekhi Becton. You grab one more absolute monster, and you just protect that young kid and let him thrive.
Yeah, give Zach Wilson every chance possible to be a franchise quarterback. It's what you got to do if you're the Jets.
Well, and if you go back to it from like week 10 through 17, he was the best rated rookie quarterback.
Yeah, save Zach Wilson's mom.
Oh, we know.
So, no, I like Icky. The more I kind of look into him, too, the more I see him being really fluid. And in that scheme with Zach Wilson, you're going to need to run. Honestly, if I could have put Zach Wilson, like kind of looking back now and looking at the offensive styles, I think Zach Wilson would have been perfect for San Francisco. You know what I mean? Like, just like he's accurate on the run. He's agile and quick enough to be able to play around outside the pocket, but he's not going to be your menace of a quarterback like Trey Lance has the potential of being. But I think if I'm just going offensive fit to quarterback, like fitting them to the quarterback, I think Zach Wilson, running that type of, play action, shotgun, very West Coast side-to-side offense would be something that I would look into for him personally. And so that's why I think Icky here probably fits better, because you have a really, really athletic offensive line. You're talking Ali Vera-Tucker, you're talking Mekhi Becton, and Icky just tested better than Charles did. Honestly, he's just a little bit more athletic. So, and he's jumped across for me, and he and Neal are pretty close. They're very 1A, 1B. But what about you, Shaw? I mean, for your tackles, what's your opinion on that? I know you went safety, but for the tackles, where are you kind of power ranking?
Yeah, I perfectly agree with you there. I got Neal, Ekwonu at 2. I just think more athletic, more upside, but Cross still worthy of a top 10 pick, but I would slightly give the edge to Ekwonu over Cross.
Yeah, I think Charles Cross is firmly the number 3. I think it's now firmly 1, 2, 3. So
Trevor Penning is still just right there.
Just right there. I think I put him firmly in that 2. He's a day 1 starter, but he's not a. I guess in my traditional evaluation, I wouldn't top 10 him. If you're a tackle and the tackles start going fast, like these guys just rattle off the board, I could see someone maybe sneaking it at 9, 10 to pick him, but like if there's trades or whatever not, but I just don't see. I see Trevor Penning in the middle rounds, or middle round 1, late teens. I don't know. What about you, Mike? Do you see Penning jumping that high?
Maybe. If one team really likes him, maybe he could be the 3rd tackle, but I don't see him cracking the top 2.
I guess we never saw Alex Leatherwood going in the first round, but fuck me. John Green and Mike Mayock exist.
Did he play guard this year? I liked him in college.
Yeah, I'm not going to say shit on that. So
We always got a couple draft day surprises.
Yep, always. But I don't know. After this, we got who is coming up at number 5. All right, number 5, we have the other New York team who has a couple of top 10 picks. We have the New York Giants. Who do you guys have them going with at number 5? I know I had Cross with Siglin, and then I think this is where you have Icky going, right, Mike?
Yep. I'm gonna learn how to say this name. Ikem Ekwonu. Yep, I had him going to the Giants.
All right. And we'll get back to the Giants here, probably talk a little bit of them, but this is their first pick. We all have them going tackle, just kind of depends who the best on the board is. Going now to number 6, the Carolina Panthers. Boys, this is where I divert off from you, because you two guys are getting saucy.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about some Sauce Gardner.
I think they reached on J.C. Horn last year. This is a better guy to reach on. And you're kind of setting up like a mini Legion of Boom back there. You got J.C. Horn, who was absolutely phenomenal until the injury. You add Sauce behind him, and then you have Jeremy Chan out of Oregon a few years ago, who was showing to be one of the better safeties in the league. And there's plenty of other safety talent to take in the second or third round. They could set up a nice, like, if they were to go get Tariq Woolen, make him a strong safety, he's 6'4", almost like a Brandon Browner, it'd be scary.
Without the arrest record.
Fair.
Yeah, just getting really plus size and athleticism at the cornerback position. I think Sauce has the potential to be the next perennial all-pro corner. And, yeah, like Siglin said, build their own version of the Legion of Boom.
So this is where I divert off, just because Kyle Hamilton is still on my draft board at this point. So this is where I kind of go with, this is where I go with Kyle Hamilton, just because I love Sauce Gardner. But in the situation where you already have J.C. Horn last year, you do have a little bit of cap space here. I'm going to pull it up. The cap calculator and everything, but you were able to kind of bring in Stephon Gilmore last year after J.C. Horn got hurt. You're still carrying over $26 million in cap space here, and there's a lot of corners in free agency. You got Casey Hayward. You do have Stephon Gilmore possibly even coming back. On top of, we talked about the J.C. Jackson. So for them to go corner high again 2 years in a row, I believe it can happen, but also at the same time, I think Kyle Hamilton makes better sense for a pick. I mean, just the versatility he offers for a defense. I mean, he can play, that box backer role. I think he's big enough to kind of, play like your nickel third linebacker that kind of plays that strong safety linebacker role. Something that's similar like Isaiah Simmons, out in Arizona. But I think he still offers you the ability to cover three. I think he can play in a traditional man, with, a two-deep zone scheme. I mean, he's scheme versatile. And for the Panthers, I think that works best for you, and he's also the best available. So that's why I went with Kyle Hamilton here at 6, because, well, he's still here. But
love Hamilton.
Yeah. I guess we'll move on to kind of the Giants here. Who did you boys have? Because I think we all went the same position, but different options. We're all getting edgy here, so we'll kick it to, I believe, Sig had Trayvon Walker going. So Sig, talk to me about Walker.
The tape speaks for itself. The guy flies, and he only increased his stock this week by cementing himself as the number 3 best edge in this draft.
I mean, weighing in at 275 pounds. He ran a 4.51. He had a 3 cone of 6.89. Now, I just want to put how stupid this is right here. He had a 6.89 in the 3 cone. Let's go up to the wide receivers here. I have some of their times put down. Okay, Jalen Tolbert, South Alabama wide receiver, ran a 4.49 in the 40. He ran a 7.08 in the 3 cone. Let's get to the top of the list here, because we had, boom, there we are. Traylon Burks ran a 7.23. Jahan Dotson, who's a slot corner, projected slot corner from Penn State, ran a 4.43 in the 40, but a 7.28 in the 3 cone. So Walker, literally better agility scores than almost all the wide receiver class, honestly. So,
and at that size, that's insane.
Yeah, 275. Nanners. I don't know. Did you kind of get a little bit of a chance to study Walker at all, Mike? Because I know you went with Jermaine Johnson. Like, that was kind of your preference. Who also had solid week at the combine.
Yeah, I was just thinking Jermaine Johnson, maybe a little bit of a outside guy, stand-up outside linebacker, whereas maybe the Georgia Walker could still have his hand in the ground, lined up more interior at times. So I was just going for more of an edge rusher, but definitely love them both. I think Jermaine Johnson really has a potential to be an all-pro. Really, he was a redshirt senior, so he was there for a while, but I think he's going to be a good edge rusher.
So this is kind of the confusing part for me here, because I went with George Karlaftis for multiple reasons. One, he is actually, after the combine, I think he's actually my 3rd edge rusher, and I had him kind of tweenering on that 3 to 5 area beforehand too. I really like what I saw out of Purdue out of him. I think he has a great power speed combo, and his motor is through the roof. And I think after the combine, he showed that. And, he's flexible, too. He's not one of these, stiff guys who doesn't have any form or technique. He can get low. But also, I think now that you bring in Wink Martindale, this would have been the same with Patrick Graham had he not, jumped ship over to the Raiders. But I think when you get that 3-4, that versatile defense, you need a defensive end. Like, Calais Campbell was perfect for the Ravens. You know what I mean? He was good enough to play that 4-3 DN role, but, in his heart, like, he's versatile enough to play that 3-4 D tackle, or DN, which is half D tackle, half defensive end. And I think that's where Karlaftis honestly fits, and that's why I see him kind of playing like a Leonard Williams, up for the Jets, kind of shifting along the line. He can play head up on the guard, head up on the center. He can play, outside with the tackles. It just kind of depends. So that's where I have Karlaftis going here. Just because of the scheme. Talent fit, it works.
Yeah, we all had the Giants taking a tackle, their first pick, and their second pick. Yep.
We know their needs.
Well, I think that's their needs is rushing the edge or protecting the edge.
One more shot for Daniel Jones.
Yep.
If he doesn't do it this year, they're probably moving on, I think.
Well, especially with fucking Brian DeBall in the building. Like, yeah, Coach Dabo is going to be...
Do you guys think they're set at wide receiver, aren't they?
I mean, they got Kenny Galladay. They got some talent there, but also wouldn't be surprised if the new regime wants to maybe add a...
Garrett Wilson, maybe.
Not in the first round, but I think in this class they could get somebody if they start to fall. Like you start to see someone like Drake London goes into the second for some reason. I see that happening.
Yeah, all the wide receivers were still here if they were tempted.
Speaking of wide receivers, Sig, this is where you have your first one coming off the board at number 8.
Well,
talk to me about our first shocker. I think this is our first shocker because I think we all kind of.
It is a gamble here.
It is. Oh yeah, gambling, man.
It's a gamble because they just lost a player due to gambling. So we're going to be taking Traylon Burks. I think you pair him up, you use him as a weapon. Matty Ice has 2 more years left on the deal. Might as well try to stack it up while that division sucks.
Yep, one last dance for Matty Ice.
We were talking last week about how you call the NFC East the NFC least. I think the NFC South is the NFC slouch.
Yeah, the NFC mouth because they suck.
Not many teams have quarterbacks in that division.
But no, for Atlanta here, I think I agree with Siglin. Not on the pick, but I think on the overall synopsis of Atlanta. I think this is where you take the division by the balls because I think the Panthers are young, but I think their coaching gets them ahead of where their talent does. I really, really like their coaching staff. Overall, I think they play up. 7-win team last year, or 6 or 7-win team last year. They could make a run for it along with the Falcons. The Saints aren't out of it even though they're in cap hell. The Buccaneers, we don't know because Bruce Arians is a good coach. We have a lot of stock in Kyle Trask, so I want him to succeed, of course. But personally, I went with an edge here. I went with Trayvon Walker. But, Mike, you actually went with a tackle, which I see obviously both ones being big moves here. Talk to me about Charles Cross going to the Falcons for you there, though.
I just thought, like we were talking about, we'll give Matt Ice one last chance to make a run for the Falcons. So shore up that offensive line, get a guy like Cross who should be versatile enough to kick into guard if you needed to, but most likely would slot right in there at their left or right tackle as a rookie, and try to give Matt Ryan some time to find Kyle Pitts, and we'll see what other moves they make to replace Calvin Ridley. A couple guys last year they had, Zacchaeus and a few others like him were, all right, but still could use an upgrade at wide receiver here too. But I just thought shore up the offensive line with Charles Cross, proven SEC talent.
I think that's the hard part too. Is you're losing Ridley, who you spent capital on, you spent a first round pick on, and now for him to kind of be not only lost for like most of last season, after leaving with the injuries and everything like that, but then to come back around and then now he is now suspended for an entire year. It's like, well, fuck. Like I honestly don't think he plays another game in Atlanta. Once he is off suspension, he's traded. Personal opinion.
If not cut.
Yeah, if not just outright cut if no one takes him. Like, he'll get another shot in this league. I think he's talented enough, but the fucking Patriots.
Bill's ready for...
No, the time of the Patriots is stealing everybody's over. I'm tired of that shit. No, we ended that when Brady retired. This is a new day, boys. NFL, it's a new dawn. But all right, but let's get back in line. Let's get unified again, boys, because I believe we all had the same 9th pick. Because Mr. Mike Shaw, in what would have been your pick to kind of juicily make here, you guys traded for Sierra's husband. So, along with not playing any future in the locker room, they are not going to have a first or a second round pick this year. But the Seahawks will be having those picks, and I believe we all agreed on who with this pick here at number 9.
Quarterback with the highest upside in this draft, Malik Willis, Liberty, formerly of Auburn. I just think upside for sure. Josh Allen, we're thinking Josh Allen upside.
He's got a cannon. He's was accurate as all could be at the combine. You still have to wait for his pro day where they show off a little more of the mobile throws, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I think he solidified himself as the number 1 quarterback prospect in this draft class.
Physical runner. We can think of a guy maybe they can design the offense to give him some quarterback design runs, 5-10 a game to, get the offense moving because he might need some time, a year or two, to develop to be an NFL passer, but has the premier athleticism from the quarterback position that you can run some design quarterback runs with while he's young.
Malik Willis, I honestly see as like, I hate to use direct comparisons, so that's why I try to shade him off. And he's like discount Lamar Jackson, because I'm not going to give him that Lamar comparison because I don't think he's there. But he shows a lot of the same traits, just more flashes than consistent showings. He's got the big arm. I think he can make every throw. Like we've seen Lamar have some stupid accurate throws, and we've seen him miss throws by a fucking mile. And I think it's more the case with Malik. You get a little bit more of that bipolarity because you see him at the combine. I think you're going to see him at his pro day be able to hit these throws, but when you're getting rushed by a defender rolling right, down 10 in the fourth quarter, that's a different situation. Malik, I think, does have by far the biggest upside, and I think when you're talking about going from Russ, who's already kind of a scrambling quarterback, your offensive line still, you prefer that playmaking style quarterback. I think Malik is a natural fit here, for me personally. So.
Yep. Drew Lock is a bridge quarterback to Malik. I don't know if Geno Smith is still on the roster, but
yeah, pretty much the same guy at this point. Show me the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture. But moving on to number 10, I think we all had a little bit of a difference here. I know, Mike, this is where you have a different player going off. This is where you have Hamilton, I think, going off, right, Sig?
Yep.
At number 10 to the Jets here. And then I had Sauce Gardner going here just because I still have him on the board. I think Sauce is my number 1 cornerback. So, for the Jets who still need some corner help, I'm going Sauce Gardner here. But, Mike, you had them going edge.
Yep. I haven't taken a tackle yet. I just figured with Mekhi Becton, Vera Tucker, a few other guys, the Jets do have a developing offensive line. So I wanted them to get a little pass rush. They seem to struggle at pass rush the last few years. And a guy with a lot of upside, a pretty raw prospect in David Ajabo, Michigan Wolverines. We saw him really kind of shine on the national stage against Ohio State in the snow, where they beat Ohio State. And I just think with his athleticism and still pretty raw, so if you get him a little technique, a little coached up, he could be a problem and be a potential game wrecker. So I just think with the upside of Ajabo does also maybe have a low floor. But I think the upside, the Jets will roll the dice and see if they can get themselves a cornerstone pass rusher.
Hold on, not to break anything, but I just read that Carson Wentz will play the Colts in Indianapolis next year.
The roof will be open.
Carson Wentz revenge game.
Love it.
And they say the Giants are likely to make a run at Trubisky too. So this, it's starting to heat up in these next couple of days here.
Hot stove right now.
Hot stove. All right, now speaking of the Commanders, we have them up at number 11 here. We made our mock drafts, skosh before this trade happened, but I'm going to stick to my guns here, boys. Who do you have with the Commanders going at number 11 in the wake of the Carson Wentz trade?
Trevor Penning to protect him.
This is where Penning goes for you, huh? Damn, jumping.
Seems like Washington always goes defense first round.
I feel like they do. And I mean, Jonathan Allen, De'Aaron Payne, fucking Chase Young, Montez Sweat. Yeah, that
should've
entire
went
defensive
offense.
line's first round selected. So, but all right, where do you go with Penning here? I mean, I think it's not too much of a reach. I see Penning as a top 20 player overall, but I don't know about a top 10 offensive tackle. So this is kind of like an edge here for me. What do you see, Sig?
The reason is his tape is good, and they don't really need defensive pieces. You're not going to reach for a linebacker at 11. If they wanted to, they could go receiver, but Curtis Samuel should be healthy next year. Diami Brown showed great improvement, and you obviously have Scary Terry. You're not going to reach for a tight end here, and obviously you're not reaching for a running back. So I feel like your biggest need there is an offensive tackle, and if you're going to bring someone in who's immobile and can get both of his ankles broken on one sack, you might as well bring someone to protect him.
Yeah, always can use offensive line. We saw in the last couple Super Bowls the losing quarterback was running for their life. So the better you can protect your quarterback, the better it will suit your team.
Especially when his legs are made of glass, too. Before this, and God, this is such a hard one. I didn't go back and redraft this. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going Kenny Pickett. Just because I think, dude, Pickett's a gambling quarterback. I like him. I like his moxie. I like the chances he takes on film. I think he improves year by year. I think he's still a project, but he's my number 2 quarterback, and I have the Washington Commanders really desperately needing a quarterback. So barring, this was barring any sort of trade. I don't know where Wentz. I think this drops their need for quarterbacks. So, I mean, since we're in the room of a mock draft right now, honestly, I could see Derek Stingley here, just because I have him available on my board. I had him going my next pick to the Vikings, but yeah, we'll just move him up one here, and we'll throw him to the Commanders. That's where I'm at. So number 12 for the Vikings. Where we got, boys? Because I have to come up with a new pick now.
Trent McDuffie
That's where I think it's going to go. So
out of Washington. Tape is clean. He can play slot. He can play the outside. One of the best overall. He's not like one of the most sure tacklers, but coverage, and if they're not catching the ball, you don't have to worry about him tackling.
Mike, where were you going here for these guys? Because I know the Vikings, you were a little bit different as far as corner. I had Trent McDuffie too, and I agree with that. I think McDuffie's actually probably fringes on my number 2 corner. I like his tape better than Stingley, but Stingley had that great freshman year, and he's just got better size. But you went defense. You went Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia.
Yep. I think they could use a corner, but I just really like Wyatt has the potential to be a great pro. And I think he can be a difference maker for the Vikings on defense and maybe get after Rodgers and maybe push them over the hump, barring Cousins and other factors. But I just think like Wyatt's upside, and I don't think if he was still there at 12, I think the Vikings would take him.
Here we go. All right. Number 13 for the Cleveland Browns. We'll get juicing on this a little bit here. Where do we have the Browns going at number 13?
Karlaftis.
This is where you have Carly going off the board. Mike Shaw, this is where you have Treylon Burke going off.
Yep, replace Odell Beckham. Yeah, but the Browns could really use another guy to stretch the field. Should get some good opportunities one-on-one with the defense's focus on Nick Chubb. So I think give Baker a vertical weapon to maybe push him over the hump, because Baker is kind of on the hot seat now too.
You know what? I think he rises, and I think that the potential of throwing the absolute explosive combo of Myles Garrett next to Jordan Davis makes him my selection here. So I think, because I'm now reworking a draft on the fly here. And Jordan Davis is just who I have. He's high on my big board. I think he jumps over Devontae Wyatt just because of his combine. I mean, you can't, while I discount the combine for throwing too much towards a player's stock, when you test that stupid big at 640 or at 341, running a 4.7 840, having a fucking 10-foot, broad jump, 34-inch, 36-inch vertical, something like that, I think that's where you jump. That's where you get yourself jumping into, end of round 1 conversation firmly into the top 15. And this is, like I said, I had him next pick going to the Ravens, so I'll have something else going here. But yeah, this is where I'm putting him.
Yeah, I heard
Jordan Davis.
Todd McShay said today that Jordan Davis was the top 5 best combine performance he's ever seen in all.
Yeah, he's on the Mount Rushmore. He's up there with Calvin Johnson, Adrian Peterson. I mean, like, the combine performances of ages. DK, you know, I mean, fucking, like, yeah, just stupid. All right, boys. 14. Siggy, we'll kick it back to you. Where you got? Who's at 14 for the Ravens?
Truz.
Oh, that's Stingley.
Ooh, a little no-fly zone. Team him up with Marlon Humphrey and Averett.
That'd be
I
dangerous.
seriously think that they do it just because of the tape that he has against Jamar and the fact that they have to face that man 2 times a year for the next 10 years.
Yup.
You want someone that's going to help you out. But the other issue is I think Jamar has gotten a lot better since the last time Stingley's covered him. And I almost think Stingley's digressed a little bit as to when 2 years ago he would have been the number 1 corner if he could have went to the draft. Where now it's like he's 3 on my board instead of 1.
That's fair. So Stingley, obviously, I already have off the board at this point. Mike, where did you have the Ravens going?
Are the Ravens losing Bowser? I know the Ravens have some good edge rushers like Owe and Bowser, but I just thought Trayvon Walker was too good to let slide past 14, bolster the pass rush for the Ravens. Trayvon Walker, edge from Georgia.
So this is where I'm going to have my third Georgia lineman go off. This is where I have Devontae Wyatt going. Obviously, I think Jordan Davis was my pick here for that bigger style defense, but I think Devontae Wyatt still fits in. I think he showed a lot of athleticism.
Big boy.
A lot of athleticism. Like his combine's kind of getting overshadowed by Jordan Davis's, and that's kind of a shame because I'm trying to pull up his numbers here. Hold on.
That's how you beat Alabama. Have 3 top 15 defensive linemen.
Yeah, I mean that'll do her there. Yeah, so Devontae Wyatt, I mean, he ran a 4.77. You know, had a 29-inch vertical. He's a good player. 9.3 foot broad jump. So good combine, really good combine for a defensive tackle. Someone who has, I think, the speed and agility to move out to that 3-4 DN in the Ravens scheme. So I think he works probably a little bit more interchangeably. Like I said, Davis just kind of jumps in for me after that combine performance. Unfortunately, so. I'm echoing something fierce. We good? Oh, yeah. Justin in a second window up, and he's giving us sound effects, and he's like, no, sorry, I got like 3 tabs open, all with you guys on it, running at different times. Love you, Justin. All right, moving on. We have the first of the 3 Philly picks. Where are we going, boys? So I think this is where the other Georgia D tackles, because I think, Siggy, you have Wyatt, and Shaw, you have Davis, right?
I switched it. It goes Trayvon and Wyatt.
Yep, Jordan Davis couldn't get past 15.
So this is where I have Jermaine Johnson going. I think the Eagles have to address that defensive line to go along with Javon Hargreaves. And, Jermaine Johnson, great edge. I think he's someone who obviously has the versatility enough to either play D-end or outside linebacker, depending on kind of where you're wanting him. And I think they just need help on the defensive end.
Brandon Graham has been on that D-line for, it seems like 15 years. So
forever.
Great replacement.
Forever.
Still balling, though.
And who do you guys have going with the next round of Eagles picks here?
Mine would be Devontae Wyatt the second round. Trayvon Walker and Devontae Wyatt. Grab 2 Georgia players, let them play together.
That would be a dirty pass rush with Fletcher Cox still there.
Well, especially if they already...
Hargreaves
Yeah.
might be the best defensive line in the league.
So because I went Davis for the Eagles at 15 for 16, I went with my third corner off the board, Andrew Booth Jr., corner from Clemson.
So this is where I'm going with, obviously, making it on the fly. I actually had this guy going to the Eagles at 19, so I'm just going to move him up to 16 here. Tyler Linderbaum. I think they need someone to replace Kelsey on the interior line there. I think Linderbaum not only had the best center rated season by PFF in 2020, he back-to-backed it and topped himself in 2021. The dude's a monster. He beat Tristan Wirfs in the high school wrestling championships. I mean, he's an Iowa lineman, so he's built strong. He's a wrestler. I mean, This guy just checks, I think, every box with the exception of he's not 325 pounds. Like, he's going to have to play in something like the Eagles, zone heavy, very quick scheme. We're going to outrun you. We're going to beat you that way. But I think Linderbaum fits perfectly with the Eagles.
I have a good NFL comp for him.
Who?
One of my all-time favorite linemen, Travis Frederick from the Cowboys. He reminds me a lot of Travis Frederick, his college tape.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, Travis Frederick, I think it's a great comp. Where you have, so you have Andrew Booth going here. You still have Jermaine Johnson on the board then, Siggy? Yep. All right. Let's go to number 17 here. Where you got the Chargers going?
Jobo.
Give it a Jabo. All right. Speak to me about it, Siggy. What you got?
I just think that you're right. He's played second fiddle, and that's what he's going to continue to do over there.
With Bosa.
With Bosa.
Yeah.
So he's great at playing the second fiddle. He knows his role, but he's also someone that you could stretch out to an outside backer and not have him play the DM position. And I just like him. His tape was good. He was quick. I believe he did pretty well on his agility drills, if I'm not mistaken. And he's smart. Dude's been a starter for 3 years at the collegiate level.
Still new to football, too.
No, I think it's Jabo. gobs of potential. Just gobs of potential. Kwity Paye vibes, honestly. Like, Kwity, very much a prospect who I think just because of Michigan, because of just the build of player they are, because of a little bit of rawness that can be morphed. See a lot of Kwity in this. Who do you have, Shaw, at 17 here?
I went with Karlaftis. Because Chargers could use some pass rush.
I can see Karlaftis, in that build, same build as like the Bosa brothers, the speed and power kind of dynamic that's going to go with there. And he's got a really high motor, so obviously you have Bosa across from that. It's going to be a huge problem. I went with Trevor Penning. This is where I have Penning go. Like I said, I think he's a top 20 player. I definitely think he's the fourth best offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa, and the Chargers need a tackle. I kind of played with edge, but I have a lot of the edges going before this, and my next best edge, at this point would be David Ojabo, so I can see that, but like I said, in this situation here, I think because the drop for me between going to a David Ojabo, Arnold Ebiketie, Cam Thomas, Boymoff, some of these other edge rushers I have a tweener second, first round grade on. I don't think the jump is that much down to where my next best tackle is Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan, and then Daniel Falali after that. So, and my drop is just steeper there. So I think going off of need, I think they go tackle here, but I think edge is where they go next. Who do you boys got for the Saints?
I think I'm pretty sure I just matched you with this one because I didn't know what to fucking do. So we went with Drake London.
Ooh.
I went with wide receiver, too. I slightly gave the edge to Garrett Wilson here at 18 to the Saints.
Garrett Wilson. So where do you guys think the difference is? Talk to me. Shaw, we'll go with you first. Where do you think Wilson goes over London and every other receiver for you?
It's so close. It's such a toss-up. I just think Garrett Wilson, with his pedigree of being the number one wide receiver in his high school class, being a 3-year starter at Ohio State, he's proven. So I think that's got to speak to his work ethic and just overall talent.
No, I agree.
Whereas Drake London was kind of a guy who flashed this year and maybe has a little bit higher upside with the size, but it's a toss-up for me, and I slightly gave the edge to Wilson.
He is just a huge body, 6'5". You're talking
Michael
Calvin.
Pittman.
If he can get the skills together, that man is going to be a monster.
I have Drake London going here just because I think the ankle's going to cause some questions, but I think he was the number one guy in this class. Dude, he's just a complete wide receiver. He's got a great route package. He's absolutely dominant with the ball in the air. So I just don't think you can teach what he has, and I think his speed's good enough.
Insane.
Oh, it's stupid. He's a red zone threat, and he's fast enough to be a deep threat too. I think. I don't know. I have him slightly ahead of Garrett Wilson and every other wide receiver here. I just think he's my wide receiver one, and I think he goes to the Saints here, and he starts what ends up being a wide receiver just train going off.
Well, next I have Garrett Wilson.
Me too. Yeah, I have Wilson going to
the Eagles.
To the Eagles. Yep. So where do you go, Shaw?
They've been burned a few times with receivers.
Oh, yeah.
Smith,
Jalen Rager, Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, I went with Linderbaum here. Probably right now my favorite player in this draft. I have to say.
I mean, that's who I had originally at 19 before.
I love Linderbaum. Yeah. Jason Kelsey. I don't know if he's officially coming back yet, but he could step right in the center. But I think Linderbaum could play guard fine as well. So I have Eagles going Linderbaum. Who did you have? Cole at 19?
Garrett Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah, but I went with Wilson. I think Wilson just doesn't offer the physical upside of London, but he's a better route runner. He's a little bit more dynamic. Just kind of depends what you want, but I think with Devontae Smith already there, you got to get a big-bodied receiver to kind of counter that because you already got your slick and crafty route runner, your primary possession one. Now you need your big-bodied one. You know what I mean? Get your route runner versus your red zone threat receiver. Kind of like that combo.
Well, you know who I have next because it just happened to work out.
I was about to say same now for
City.
me too, because after adapting the draft board, we have the ultimate dream match, boys.
Kenny Pickett.
So yeah, I mean Kenny Pickett, I think.
Kenny Pitt.
Yeah, like I said, my second best quarterback in this draft class. If he doesn't go sooner, I think Pittsburgh has to nab him up here. Fix your mistakes from Dan Marino. You had a pick quarterback at your hands before and you let him go. Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Do you guys have any worry about him having the smallest hands of any NFL quarterback? That
No.
was one thing that made me drop him. You're playing in the blizzard.
My problem with hand size is just that. I mean, well, they can say, oh, no quarterback with this, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, also, Joe Burrow, they said the same thing. He was in the Super Bowl this year. I mean, Ryan Mallett was 6'7" and could fit a football between two fingers and was an absolute fucking bust as a third-round pick. So
I thought he was going to be so good.
I know, yeah, of course you would.
I loved Ryan Mallett out of Arkansas. 6'7", just a unit.
Point exactly.
Great. It would be a great landing spot for Kenny Pickett, staying in the city of Pittsburgh, replacing Big Ben because Big Ben is officially retired. Big need at quarterback for the Steelers.
Huge need. I'm surprised they're not more present in the
I
talks.
thought they were going to be the ones that was going to get Wentz initially the most.
So, all right, boys, 21. Where are we going here? Because we kind of all agreed with Pickett. Do we all agree on Devin Lloyd to New England? No,
Yes.
Shaw, where do you differ?
I went Nakobe Dean.
Nakobe Dean. Okay, why do you think Dean fits them a little bit better than Devin Lloyd does?
I just think he plays a little faster. Could be that new 3-down linebacker for Belichick to really take over the defense in the coming years. And I just think with the way he performed last year, leading that defense, being the captain of that vaunted Georgia defense that only lost one game and were the national champs, I went with Dean slightly over Lloyd. But I like Lloyd too, but it was just a slight edge to Lloyd. Or, excuse me, slight edge to Dean.
I can see that, especially as NFL defenses grow more versatile. I do have Dean ahead of Lloyd actually on my big board. But obviously I think in a mock draft, you're picking for what you think the team's going to do. And the Patriots, while they do pick the best player available, I can see them having a better pick for Lloyd just because being a traditional team-leading, 4-3 middle linebacker who kind of led the defense, he's produced high. I just think versus Nakobe Dean, I can kind of see them going for Devin Lloyd a little bit more, but Nakobe Dean, would be the 1B pick here. I think they have to go linebacker. So... But Siglin, that's where we have him. Any last words on the Pats pick here?
I just think Devin Lloyd he's different. I think the fact he may not have ran as fast as he did in the combine, but his game shows him faster.
Yeah.
Football speed.
I think he plays incredibly fast, but we'll see what happens there. So,
Raiders.
Select. I'm going with Chris Olave here. This is the pick I had originally. And even with the way the board goes, I think Olave impressed at the combine. I think his route tree.
Originally, you had Wilson.
Actually,
originally you had Burks.
Yeah, by Treylon Burks.
Want to be real?
I did. Olave, the deeper I dive, I like him for McDaniels. Burks and Olave are 17 and 18 on my big board. So let's be clear here. They are a hair apart, and Jameson Williams is at number 20. So I don't have a lot of space between the three receivers. I think Jamison, healthy, if he tests at the combine, is hands down the pick here. But I think the injury question and his ability to come back from that, being the speedster that he is, because, I mean, let's be honest here. We have possession with Renfro and we have possession with Waller. What we need now is what we were working with last year before a fucking just misfortune happened and a guy made a stupid mistake, and now we don't have Henry Ruggs anymore. So my almost immediate thing was to go get the next Alabama speedster in Williams, but I think Olave showed enough speed that I think Olave is the pick here. But I could see Burke or Williams. I think we go wide receiver round 1, though. Especially if Penning's gone. If Penning's gone, I can see maybe another tackle, but if Penning's gone, wide receiver easily.
I agree with you. I think Chris Olave is the safe bet there, and honestly, I think he's going to slot in right away and give Renfro will still be able to find his holes, but he's going to be your one-on-one nightmare matchup.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think Olave kind of comes in there as like I mean, there's no real like true like Devontae Adams #1 receiver in that offense, but yeah, Renfro's your zone beater, because last year, I mean, he still played decent, but I mean, he's not a guy who gets double covered and beats coverage. He's 5'10", $185. Like, you need to draw that attention elsewhere, and I think you get Olave, who's already professed his love for the Raiders. He's already said he wants to go to Vegas. He wants to be a Raider. It's just kind of a natural match at that point.
Yeah.
And I think also the high character guy that you also hear about Josh McDaniels talking about bringing into Vegas because of the talent they're in, Olave kind of just fits everywhere. So do you see Olave, Mike, or do you see somewhere different?
I'm starting to reconsider my pick. I'm going to stay with my original pick, but I do agree with you. The Raiders really do need a game, a field stretcher, vertical threat, which Ruggs was, and so a replacement for that. But I had Zion Johnson, offensive line from Boston
Definitely
College.
Could see Zion going there too on the inside.
Bolster that run game for Josh Jacobs and help Carr. But I could see wide receiver as well.
Yeah, Zion's my #1 guard, especially after the Senior Bowl and the Combine. I just think he's leaped Kenyon Green and everything. Tape, Senior Bowl, Combine. I mean, yeah, he just didn't play in the SEC. That's all. So, Siggy, any last words on the Raiders pick here, buddy?
No, I mean, honestly, their biggest need is probably cornerback, but all of the premier names are taken at this point. They could go Kyler Gordon because he's still on the board, but I just see...
We handle that in free agency, I think. I think you see J.C. Jackson or Casey Hayward come back, or you get someone there premier to take the corner position for the Raiders.
I agree. But there's also a lot of the deepest this is in free agency is receivers.
That's true, and same with the draft. So this is why this is post-combine, pre-free agency. This changes in 2 weeks dramatically.
Post-free agency will be a lot different.
Yeah, honestly, I could very much Zion's someone I always have on my top 5, top 10 list for the Raiders picks here, because if we go out and we address wide receiver and corner in free agency, like say we go out and get J.C. Jackson and then trade for like a Brandon Cooks or something like that, like all of a sudden we're sitting here like, okay, we don't need that anymore. We don't. But moving on to 23 here, Sig, I know you have Kyler Gordon.
Yep.
So talk to me about Kyler, the other Washington cornerback next to McDuffie.
He goes and joins a legion of other Washington DBs down in Arizona. And it's honestly the biggest need. It's not like you need to add to the offense. Their running backs played above what they should have done last year. They have a great receiving core, so much so where it's almost 5 deep. And you just added defensive linebackers last year, and your issue is you guys need someone that can lock down that slot. They don't have a real good slot corner, and that's what I think Kyler Gordon brings to the table.
I think so, 100%. I kind of want him going a little bit different here. I think A.J. Green disappointed last year, so with Garrett Wilson still being on my board, I thought that was... Or no, Garrett Wilson is not on my board. I have to redo my fucking draft. I'm going to go with Treylon Burks. Actually, no, come back to me. Fuck it. I'm gonna think about this one. Mike?
Because they have Rondale Moore, Kirk...
Yeah, maybe no receiver here. All right, let's refigure this.
I went with McDuffie.
And that Leslie kid, he balled last year.
Well, like I said, I'm remaking mine on the fly here, okay? So who'd you have, Mike?
I went with McDuffie, cornerback from Washington. I think they'll go They could use a corner. Cooper Cup owns the West right now.
I think I'm going to go with McDuffie, too. Or not McDuffie, Kyler Gordon, because McDuffie's gone in my draft. So we're going to go with Kyler. But yeah, I think Washington corners, it's enough said there, pretty much.
They're one of the most safe plays you can get if you want an NFL-ready player.
No, hands down.
They've been whipping them
Yeah.
out, man. Kevin King, a bunch of them.
I mean, they truly are. I mean, you're not wrong. They turn out defensive backs like it's absolutely crazy. So
Taylor Rapp,
Yep. Super Bowl champ.
Buda Baker.
Byron Murphy.
Ooh,
Kevin King.
West Coast DBU, no doubt.
All right, boys, to America's team, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Who you guys got?
I got the
Man.
team.
I'm reconsidering thinking of maybe giving them a wide receiver here due to them cutting their.
Is it fully official?
Do they?
Well, because
do they-
Gallup's a free agent and Cooper's looking to be. So, assuming at this point, and you could
Cut
assume,
Cooper
I mean,
yet?
dude, we're going to have a new mock draft in 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
assuming right now what we know is Amari Cooper is going to be gone.
Yeah.
Traded or released. What?
You make CeeDee Lamb your number one. Quincy Wilson showed out last year. They just franchise tagged Dalton Schultz. I think the biggest issue is still just their interior linebacking. Like you added Micah Parsons and look what that did for you last year.
But he was a DN most of the year.
Van Der Esch will be coming back too, I think.
I think Leighton might be a free agent as well.
Ooh.
I just think Nakobe Dean is someone you pair up with Micah Parsons and they kind of have like a Lance Briggs, Brian Urlacher feel to them.
Yeah, I could see wide receiver or stand-up linebacker, middle linebacker. I went with a guy that I really love his talent, who was kind of underwhelming in college, but I think the talent is there. And DeMarvin Leal, Texas A&M, really shined in the Alabama game.
God, talk about a first-round talent with fucking both first and third-round tape. I mean, literally.
Effort level
Yeah.
questions. Yo.
Oh, I think that's the big one. I think if you get a guy who can light his fire, dude, because he can shift all over the defensive line. Like he's big enough to and explosive enough to play D tackle, but I think he's also quick enough to play the end in some bigger sets. Not so much pass rushing downs, but he's a run stopping D end. So I could see Leal. I don't like him that high, but I could definitely see it.
Yep, stay in the state of Texas, playing for America's team, could be a good fit.
Well, with my reconfiguration here, this is where I'm going to drop in David Ojabo. Just because, like I said, the edges in this class, the thickness of the group of edges we have here, because for me, Ojabo kind of drops off because before this, my last edge was Jermaine Johnson. I have Jermaine Johnson about a half point probably above Ojabo, and I still have Ojabo ahead of like Arnold Ebikite out of Penn State, Cam Thomas out of San Diego State, Boy Moff, Myaji Standards, Drake Jackson, Nicky Bonito out of Oklahoma. Like these other guys who I have is like these premier. The second and third round could be something, but they have a lot of questions. Ojabo goes right above that, and I think he works so Parsons can get back to linebacking because he's too quick and too talented. I think to just throw his hand in the ground, but I mean that's kind of what happened last year just with injuries. They didn't have a pass rush, so once they get a pass rush, then they can start getting creative. He's a DN some plays. But I think he needs to be playing linebacker more because it's better for the defense. Especially when you had Jalen Smith playing good and then disappear out of nowhere. But all right, the Buffalo Bills, Siggy, we got another shocker here, buddy.
Big time.
Da-na-na, da-na-na. And the player that the Draft Network ranked 133rd, the Buffalo Bills select.
Brees Hall.
Ooh.
Getting breezy in here. Feel a slight breeze.
It's their need. It's the only thing they need. Their offense is so one-dimensional. Like, the runs that Matt Breida, but whoever the running back was doing.
Singletary
Yeah, Singletary.
and Zach Moss.
I think it was Singletary that's trying to pop off. But it was like, that is what they needed all year. You can't give that to them. If you can make them have a balanced offense, the Bills are so scary. But for the fact that all you have to do is shut down the pass because they can't run. I mean, look, the Jags beat them because they literally couldn't get the ball down the field because they were getting to them. So if you give them a player that can stretch the field and give Josh Allen a little bit of time so he doesn't have to take the brunt of everything, I think it's the biggest win in the draft, personally.
take some pressure off Allen because he was forced to run a lot because they had no run game with their running backs.
We got over 500 rushing this year.
See, I think the problem is, though, is I actually don't even have running back that far down. I like Singletary and Zach Moss. I think they can pick up a more explosive back to try to open it up, but I don't think their need at running back is even a top need. But what I do see is Cole Beasley, I don't think, is the slot that they need anymore. He's getting older. Stephon Diggs is obviously a clear wide receiver one. The problem is Gabriel Wilson, while he had a great playoffs, Gabe Davis. Sorry. I don't see
all year.
Yeah, I don't see Gabe Davis doing that consistently. But you still need that speed threat, and that's why I think the Bills take a guy who's dropping because of injury here, but will blow the absolute fucking top off of defenses. I'm going with Jameson Williams.
Me too.
You too? Yep. I have JMO going here just because I think he drops a bit because of injury, but he's still, I mean, without injury, he might be my top receiver. Like, if he was going through the combine and he tests how I think he would have tested and kind of goes on par with his narrative there, he's not the best route runner in the class, but I don't think he's got good to great hands. Give him like a 6.5, 7 on those. He's so goddamn explosive, dude. You can't teach that playmaking ability. You can teach how to catch. I think we saw that out of Ruggs year 1 to year 2. He started making that leap. And honestly, that's my comparison for him is Henry Ruggs with more agility.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. Not so much. Honestly, Chris Olave, my pro comparison for him is Jerry Jeudy. Just because of his route running and his tree, I think Jerry Jeudy is almost a direct comparison for Chris Olave. Olave's a little faster, but I think Judy's a little crisper in his route running, but I think they're close enough player profile-wise.
They're both probably like 6'3".
Yeah.
But, yeah, Jameson Williams, if anyone doesn't know him or is wondering his talent, turn on the tape of the SEC championship game where he broke the game open with a 70-yard touchdown and proceeded to get another long touchdown against the greatest college defense in recent memory, the Georgia Bulldogs. So turn on that tape, watch those touchdowns, and you'll see an explosive playmaker.
Oh, absolutely electric.
Returned a lot of kicks this year, too. Played on special teams, gunner on punt team, was laying people out, making tackles. This guy's a football player. He will lower his shoulder. He's not a big frame, but he'll lower his shoulder and fight for extra yards.
Well, that's the thing is you saw Tyreek gain about 10, 15 pounds, maintain the same speed and agility, and he's like, dude, he does break tackles with speed now. Like, these smaller guys are getting to the point where the tackling is a little bit sloppier now because the game's just quicker. You know, we're relying more on physicality than fundamentals. And I think, yeah, you get these smaller guys, they beef up a little bit. They can be breaking some tackles. I mean, fuck, Hunter Renfro's jukes guys, and for God's sakes. All right, boys, number 26 here, the Titans. Siggy, let's start with you. Yeah, this is where you got Linderbaum off the board, right?
Yep.
How about you, Shaw? What are you jumping with?
Titans, I gave them another corner. I know they went corner first round last year with the Virginia Tech Farley, but I just liked the other Washington corner, Kyler Gordon.
I do like Kyler. That's why I'm going to Arizona. I think they need some defensive help here, especially in the back seven. You know what I mean? Like your secondary, your linebackers, your back six, I guess, kind of depending on what you define a defense as. See, where do you go with Linderbaum here? Because I know they need interior offensive line help.
They need interior offensive line. You can move them around, but, I mean, the numbers speak for itself. He allowed 1 sack in his collegiate in the last 2 years, or I think it was 753 snaps.
Yeah.
So,
Linderbaum?
yeah, the dude blocks. And if we're talking about another sure pick position, Iowa lineman.
Tried and true.
I think Linderbaum is, for me, I mean, he's, I think, number 12 on my big board. But the problem is he plays center. And I'm going off of pure talent on that. Like, I think he is a top 15 talent in this class. It's just who needs a center when and wants to pull the trigger. I could see the Raiders, honestly, going after him with Andre James not really taking on until later in the season. Fresh coaching staff, I could see Linderbaum going in day one.
Cool, I have a draft throwback for you. Linderbaum is the best Iowa lineman in the draft since Robert Gallery.
Go fuck yourself. That was the last, like, bust, too, because you've had, like, what, Tristan Wirfs since... I mean, Jesus, the Iowa lineman list that have not busted since Gallery, and then I'm sitting here... And I question that even back then, too. Fucking 10-year-old Cole was like, why are we picking this guy at 2? 10-year-old Cole knew that Gallery's footwork was too sloppy and that he would have to move into guard, all right? Like, I knew this. God... Like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm an amateur at this. And then I see the jobs that the pros do, and I get a little cocky, and I'm like, I'm way smarter than you motherfuckers. I know Mike does it, too.
Oh, yeah.
Siglin, you follow the fucking
Those who
protocols.
don't remember,
No,
Google Robert Gallery.
I try to argue with him all the time.
All right, boys. 26. I got Nakobe Dean. Is where I have him going. I think Dean is going to be for someone who, the Titans. I think this is a match made in heaven because you get a guy who can defend the pass, but also is mean on the blitz too. And once again, I think they need that back seven help. I could definitely see corner, but this draft is really loaded with corners and kind of those corner safety type players, and I could see someone fall into him in the second too. So this is where I have Dean going in one because it's the best player right here too. It's best player plus need. So, Siggy, why don't you introduce us to the post-Tom Brady era?
I have quarterback here at 27.
You do? All right, kick it off, Shaw.
All right, I'm going to go with the player that I saw play live this past season, Matt Corral, quarterback, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I think he's the quarterback 2 in this draft. I'm just down on Pickett. So I think the Bucs are going to be desperate to replace Tom Brady still have a pretty solid roster. So I think Corral would be most ready to play.
Matt Corral, really?
Don't love
Really?
him, but I just think it's a big need that they're going to try to chase in this first round.
Oh, man. I can see it just depending on how they feel about Trask. Just depending how they feel about Trask. If they don't like
True.
Trask, I mean...
Generally, anyone who sits under Brady for a year picks something up.
Look at Jimmy G.
Look at Brissett.
Look at Cliff Kingsbury.
Matt
He's a fucking head coach now, and the guy backed him up back in 2004. Remember Madden 2K5? He was Brady's backup.
What?
Does he have a Super Bowl ring with him?
Maybe.
Yes, sir. I believe he does. Cliff Kingsbury Super Bowl ring. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go on the good old Google machine
Is
here.
he Texas Tech
Yep.
player too?
I think, he was Texas Tech in college. As a player, oh, no. He was with the 03 Patriots. You got to be fucking kidding me.
That is even better.
Oh, yeah, the non-playoff Patriots.
Wow.
Yep, 6th round pick in 2003 out of Texas Tech. Pick 201. Did not, unfortunately, have the same success as pick 199. But he was on the Saints, Broncos, Jets, practice squads, the Bills. He also played for the Cologne Centurions of NFL Europe. And then the Montreal Alouettes and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers before he started his career as an offensive quality control coach at Houston. Fun random fact of Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury.
I wonder, did he coach Mahomes?
Yeah. He was Mahomes' college coach. Yep. Yeah, that's why he got the fucking
That's why he
job.
got the job.
Yeah, that's why he got the job. I mean, that and like a lot of like co-eds thought he was really cute too, so he started getting like a lot of press. And it's Arizona State, HPVU. It just kind of made sense from there. Fuck me. All right, Siglin, you actually had him going Kenyon Green, didn't you? Or did you switch that up?
I think I have to go Kenyon Green.
Are you sticking to your guns?
If you want to check that.
This is forever. Just kidding. We're literally going to do a different one in a week and a half when free agency starts settling down.
I think that's what I have.
Yeah. So this is where I get Treylon Burke off the board. Burke's off the board. I just think what better to put across from Mike Evans than Mike Evans? Burks, I think he's a big receiver. I think he's speedy like Evans to the point where he isn't going to like leg. He can beat some players on like double moves, little cut China routes, but dude, he's just going to win with physicality. Just overwhelming physicality, and who better to polish that skill set from than a guy who's had 8 straight 1,000-yard receiving yard seasons? You know what I mean? Like Mike Evans, I think is the most underrated receiver of our generation.
Oh,
He made fucking Jameis look good, homie. Like that
if
dude.
you go look at that year of that receiving class, like those rookies that came in, that was when
Odell,
he was
right?
Stacked.
Oh yeah, 13
Calvin Benjamin when he was good out of Florida State.
before he found out what a buffet was.
Yeah. Gave her home.
But, all right, let's go with the Packers because breaking news: Aaron Rodgers is staying because he's fucking staying. I've been saying this for a while. I kind of flirted with the possibilities of, maybe he's going here, maybe he's going there. But
Pat tried hard to get him to go there.
I think there's teams that made conversation. I think Aaron generally did actually think about it, but at the end of the day,
I think if he was going anywhere, it was Denver.
Yeah, I think he has a problem with change, like, changing the fact that he loses in the NFC Championship game every year.
Can never beat the 49ers.
Oh, Justin's talking some shit about Forrest in the chat here. But
I want to change my pick from Christian Harris because I just realized I still have him on my board.
from Christian Harris?
Yep.
All right, who's your pick then?
Jermaine Johnson.
Oh, you do. You still have Jermaine Johnson on your board?
Yep.
I mean, that's like me having Trayvon Walker fall out of the first round of my first mock draft. LOL. Literally. All right, Christian Harris, honestly, I think is a round one talent, but because of his just mental fuck-ups on tape, I think he goes day two. I think he's at the combine, he's a round one talent. If he could play smarter, he's a round one linebacker all day, but for draft sake, I think we're late enough that his tape's going to be against him, and he's gonna drop. Shaw, who do you have going to the pack here?
I went with Christian Harris, too.
You did go with Christian Harris? Okay.
3 sacks in the national championship, but yep, inconsistent at times, but the talent and the tools are there. Pedigree is there. 5-star out of Baton Rouge.
Personally, here, when I see Christian Harris's tape, as far as like who he is as a blitzer and just his overwhelming physical skill, I don't almost question if you just move him to edge. Like, he's a middle linebacker, but I mean, dude, linebackers, not that they're interchangeable. You start learning a skill set, it's hard, but for this Packers team, I could see someone like Christian Harris moving to the edge position in that defense, especially if you're going to get rid of one of the Smiths, most likely Za'Darius, but this is where, and I am going to pound this. I'll preface this and say I'm probably going to be fucking wrong here. Okay? But I'm going to keep mocking Aaron Rodgers getting a goddamn weapon until I'm blue in the face, because he doesn't have a true two. As much as you like, I've seen potential out of Lazard and, St. Brown and blah, 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 and everybody here. Tunyon's a good tight end. That's fine. I like Tunyon at tight end. Devontae Adams, Valdez-Scantling. Bro, he needs someone to go across from him. And this is where I'm going with my sleeper from last episode and my draft riser from this episode. I'm going with Sky Moore from Western Michigan. Siglin, I'm going to jump him over Jahan Dotson.
We were arguing about that earlier.
We were, and I'm going to jump him here. I think when you're talking just rivaling ability, you're talking a big-ass possession receiver in Devontae Adams. He's got lightning-quick routes. Dude, who better to polish off and learn the game from than that for Sky Moore? I mean, someone who I think had an amazing combine. He's a round one wide receiver for sure now. I just think he slips in at the end of round one here to, someone like the Packers, maybe the Dolphins, but this is where I have Sky Moore going to the pack.
I can see that.
Yep.
Combine darling.
Yep.
But I just think that the salary cap, the hits that they're about to take and trying to fill those holes of moving those players, I think that's a bigger need than the wide receiver, and especially when you still have Amari Rodgers, who we really haven't got to see anything out of because he's injured this season.
Once again, I like receiver for him. I'm going to be wrong about this till I'm blue in the face. That's fine. I wish they'd just go out and draft a round one wide receiver, like a playmaker, someone day one who's going to come in there, not someone you're waiting on. Like MVS has these flashes, and he's like, oh God, where did that guy come from? No, I want a guy who walks in day one and kind of know what his fucking name is. Like I said, give me an actual receiver besides Devontae Adams. But I mean, Devontae's there. You're just asking for luxury at that point. You do need to rebuild the defense. And also having Rich Bisaccia there as your special teams coordinator should turn that team around drastically. I can say our special teams the last couple of years with him there has been amazing. Obviously, miss Coach Rich, but I do love the McDaniels hire. But I think they turn it around there. If I don't go Sky Moore, I definitely go defense. Hands down. But I'm just... I'm going to speak it into existence. I'm going to manifest this shit.
I know Mike feels that way.
All right, boys, we're getting to the back end here. Miami Dolphins. Mike, who you got, buddy?
Still on my board. I've already had 2 receivers go, so he'd be my number 3 wide receiver. Drake London. Give Tua another target. Think they might be losing Devontae Parker and Fuller. So get a big receiver to pair up with Waddle and see if Tua can put it all together.
I have Jameson Williams here, teaming up with his old teammate Waddle.
Burners.
He just got some speed guys and a suburban dad.
Gasecki.
So I think I'm going to change here because I had Jahan Dotson, but just looking at the roster right here, there, and especially with who they have, not Jakeem, but Ryan Grant, or who is it? They have some Grant receiver down there who's gets in, he kind of gets the snaps. They have a lot of small talent down there. So that's kind of a problem, I think, right now.
They
And
set up their secondary really well last year.
they did.
Javon Holland should have been a round 1 pick after all the tape he provided.
Javon Holland, I had a round 1 grade on, and the fact that he slipped all the
I
way
did
down to
too.
them is stupid. But wide receiver here, if we're going to go with a shocker, I mean, someone who is rising up my draft board pretty heavily. Here's going to be my shock round 1 here. I'm going to go Christian Watson from North Dakota State. I think Watson has all the tape. Dude, he's fast. He's agile for a 6'5" guy. He's a little bit skinny, but he actually I think he plays a lot stronger, and he's physical with the ball and has an extremely high catch point.
That's who I would see the Packers taking over Sky Moore.
Yeah, the only reason I have Sky Moore is just because they already have Devontae for a big-bodied receiver. MVS is tall. Lazard is tall. Equanimous St. Brown is tall. They need small speed. They had Randall Cobb, who's, I don't know if he's back next year. You know what I mean?
I'd
So
imagine.
that's why, I flip it here. I see the Dolphins of having nothing but speed. You need a little bit of height, so that's where Christian Watson from North Dakota State goes for me.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it too.
All right, we all had receiver going. Where do we have the Chiefs going at number 30?
Kyer Elam.
Corner.
I'm going to steal that pick, too. I think Kyer here, just because of the versatility he offers. I could also see Dax Hill out of Michigan.
I had Dax Hill be in my first one initially because I had Kyler Elam going to the Buffalo Bills. But I think if Kyer is available, the Chiefs don't even second it because that'll be their number 1 corner. He'll pass up L'Jarius Sneed instantly.
Yep. I had Dax Hill here, safety Michigan. I think they addressed the secondary. Tyrann Matthew is a free agent. But I could see corner as well.
Supposedly ties to Baltimore.
Nice. I hope that happens, Lane.
It's like, get him the fuck out of my division.
It's a new year, Lane. AFC West up for grabs.
You let him know, text him right now.
Yeah, just to have the fucking 4th best quarterback coming in and win it with the Raiders. Y'all gonna be so pissed off when that happens. Just like this year. Like, oh, who's the wild card team? Oh, the Raiders, actually. Weird. No, I got Kyer going. Yeah, I think they need help on the defense. Bad. I mean, that's what's holding them back at this point. Their offense is set. I mean,
Mike Williams feasted at the game that I went to.
Against the Chiefs.
Called barbecue chicken.
Oh. Mike Williams just signed an extension yesterday.
Highest paid receiver in the league.
$20 million a fucking year. Can you imagine that, boys? It's nanners. All right, 31 to the Super Bowl losers, the Cincinnati Bengals, who Joe Burrow got absolutely ransacked in that game. Where do you guys have them going? And it better be offensive line.
Zion.
Yeah, I switched mine here. I'm actually going to go with Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan. I think you need a tackle. Bad.
Well, I think they're going to go interior because you're going to have Reef, who you just paid. He'll be healthy next year. You're going to pay Armstead whatever he wants to get the deal done. You've already tagged Bates, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, then when Armstead gets signed, I'll fucking change it next time, all right? But right now, they don't have a tackle. I'm going with Raymond. Mikey boy, where you got him going?
I went with the interior offensive line from Texas A&M.
Kenyon Green?
Kenyon Green.
Yep. Kenny Green's good. I just think, like I said, I mean, everything post-draft that I've seen, and honestly, the tape I think is a little bit better towards Zion too. But Kenny Green's, I mean, he's still a top 50 overall player. You know, in my opinion, he made my top 50 big board.
If Zion somehow fell, it was still available here at 31. I think the Bengals would take Zion as well.
That's right. He's not available in your draft, so
Yeah.
That's where I have Bernard going. I have Zion, unfortunately, falling into day 2 just because it's really hard for me to get behind running backs and guards now in round 1 because you just don't see it very often unless the team need is just clearing or a team reaches. If I'm going to be fair here, because I think even Najee last year, while it was a big board quality pick, and I think it was perfect for the Steelers, I still think drafting a running back just, like I said, it devalues it because unless you get someone truly legendary like a Ezekiel Elliott or McCaffrey coming out, a lot of the running back talent you can find deep.
Michael Carter, round 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, in my running back big board, you have someone like Pierre Strong Jr. who could even fall into the 5th or 6th round. There are some guys who have a low grade, like Bleacher Report has him at like a 121. on their big board, like scouting and Chasm in the late 180s. So you're talking like he can absolutely fall. And I mean, he showed to be a good receiver in college. He was a workload back for South Dakota State, no injury history, very smooth runner, quick cuts, and he actually ran a 4.37 at the combine. So like late talent. Jerome Ford from Cincinnati is another guy. Hassan Haskins is someone who fell off from Michigan, who could be a great day 3 pick. And then James Cook from Georgia, Dalvin's little brother, shows discount Dalvin ability. I think his problem is just getting the carries and staying healthy, but
Maybe Brooks really boosted his stock.
yes. And I don't even have Brooks on my current top 10, and I need to reevaluate because I did running backs like 4 or 5 days ago, so yeah.
Yeah, Kenny Brooks definitely jumped up his stock. He had a great game. He looked good. He was moving fluid. He was reading the blocks really well.
I think that's why, like I said, I just don't see a running back round 1 in this class because we don't have that legendary.
Only reason why I see Brees going, and again, they could potentially skip out on Brees and get Walker because Walker's a cunt hair under. But the fact is that Brees will not be there that late in the second round.
Oh, no. No, Brees goes early, too. I mean, I could almost see someone trading up because the second round is almost like... I love the beginning of day 2 because it's been this overnight clusterfuck between... Yeah, it's this day 2 clusterfuck of all guys we've had these tweener grades on or these day 1 grades on, and we're like, oh shit, who's gonna get picked up now? Or the Raiders, last year the Raiders going up and picking up Morig was something I actually got for once. Like, it was something I wanted, and it happened. I was like, oh my god, this never fucking happens.
You predicted that.
Yeah, I was I was sitting here like, I think we go out and we get Morig day 2, and then what happens? Boom, I was like, finally, they... Mike Mayock maybe tuned in. He was one of our 7 listeners. And now he's fired. So, Dave Ziegler, follow the boys. I'll give you some great draft advice, all right?
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's round it off. Do we all have Desmond Ridder going to the Lions at 32, or Mike, are you swaying?
I said give Goff one more chance. Give him the best skill position player available left here at 32 with Chris Olave, wide receiver from The Ohio State.
Olave next to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who actually is another great comparison. Probably maybe a little bit closer, too. I think Olave has better end-line speed, but when you just talk about route running, that'd be dangerous.
I think Olave is definitely taller than Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, he is. Yeah. I think he's taller, but I mean, when you just talk about the route running kind of being the top key.
The tree of routes. All right, well, to end this off, I ran through my notes. I have a few guys that I want to ask you guys about and see what you think. So what do you guys know about Isaiah Likely?
Absolutely big fan. Isaiah Likely to me, the pro comp, and I do not say this lightly, is Darren Waller.
Wow.
What
school?
He went from being 3rd on my tight end board to after the combine, he's a clear number 1.
He was my number 1 going into the combine, and I think the combine only solidified it. I saw his tape, and bro, I mean, sure, he is an absolute liability in the running game, but ask yourself this question: what is a tight end in most offenses used for nowadays? It's a receiving threat who can edge block on the line, and I think Likely is smart enough.
He's a monster.
Yeah, I think he's smart enough and big enough and strong enough to end block. And yeah, you might have to work around him as he kind of polishes these skills off a little bit. But dude, he's posted 2 straight 90 PFF seasons, for Coastal Carolina. I mean, and stupid receiver. He's
How do you like Chiozim Aquano? Iggy's brother.
Oh.
I'll let you go first on this, Mike.
I've never heard of him. I didn't know he had a brother.
He's a tight end out of Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He exploded at the combine. He didn't make my top 5 tight ends. I still got Greg Dulcich, Jalen Widemeyer, and Kate Otten. Obviously with Trey McBride at number 1. But
I have Trey McBride at number 3.
really,
Yeah.
no, I think Trey McBride, bro. I think, dude, he was the focal point of an entire offense. Like, they knew the ball was going to him. Still a great blocker. I mean, he's an all-around tight end. I mean, Likely's a better receiver, so he could go ahead of McBride because of that. But, dude, McBride we don't get that combination often.
The thing that I thought about Chiozim is his route tree. For a tight end, the routes that he can run are insane. He ran the fastest 40 of all the tight ends. And when they were doing the straight line ball drill and all the receiving drills, he didn't have a single drop.
I think he's a good tight end. Like I said, for me, it's a lot of like raw physical skill, and I think he's going to be a great weapon. He's probably tied in 6 or 7. I don't have the rankings, like an official ranking, but he's just finished right outside my top 10, personally.
All right, what do you know about Jermaine Waller?
Jermaine Waller.
Is he related to Darren?
Looks like it.
Well, yeah, he's a corner out of Virginia Tech, and he's a pretty good corner out of Virginia Tech. I mean, I think he's
hybrid.
yeah. I'll say you kick it off here because I mean, I know back in
He's
19.
the 4th best safety in the draft, but he could honestly, when all said and done, end up being the best. Because the size and speed that he has with his twitch, and he high points the ball almost just like his brother. You know what I mean?
No, he's a great player.
He's played opposite of Caleb Farley.
So, any other draft risers, Siglin, that you got there?
Not really. Oh, Malcolm Rodriguez.
Malcolm Rodriguez, yeah, out of Oklahoma State. Hell of a linebacker.
He is almost like a Tasmanian devil. He is just in the storm and in the mix all the time. And then, obviously, I think the punter out of San Diego State needs to go in the top 4 rounds. That's a weapon. If you have somebody who can punt the ball,
It would not be a Siglin fucking episode if you.
again,
You want Matt Ariaza to go
dude's a
in
weapon.
the. You want the Colts to go get him at in the 4th round there?
I wouldn't be opposed. Rigoberto averages about 47 to 53. We add 30 yards.
But it's a
on
punter,
that.
though. Like, really? You don't draft skill in the. I'm sorry, you don't draft skill players. I think there's good enough talent.
Shooter McPherson.
I mean, yeah, Shooter McPherson's awesome, but we got Daniel Carlson off of cut list, because the Vikings drafted him and then didn't have patience. I mean, I think developing a kicker, there's a lot of ways to go around it. I'm just not of the school of drafting. I don't like drafting kickers. I mean, depending on the kicker, I'm also a Raiders fan. We drafted Janikowski in the 1st round, and it was one of the best first-round picks in that draft class. Like, actually, let me look this up here.
And then Kalen Barnes, after he ran his 40, I definitely think he was going to rise up people's draft boards. He went from being
Ooh, I got one.
Well, and like Tyquan Thornton, too, I think out of Baylor after posting the best 40 time and then a top 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle.
Yeah, I think both of the Baylor boys went from being like late round 2 to early round 3s to being early round 2, mid round 2s.
How about Trey McBride, tight end, Colorado State?
I like Trey McBride. Like I said, he's my number 1.
Number 3.
I think he could be an early second, maybe late, probably late, early second.
And it goes Cade Otten and Greg DeLuch.
Well,
I'm not sure how it was.
Someone to look through here as far as D3 because that's day 3 where I think he falls. But go Big Red. I got JoJo Doman out of Nebraska. I know he kind of played a lot for Nebraska this year, but kind of clocked in about 6'1", 230, and with a 4'6", 240. I mean, I think he's got great agility, speed. He can literally play corner, safety, and outside linebacker. And I think he'll be someone to watch for the right defense. Just because if you need, a strong cover, Sam linebacker, I think he's perfect for that. He actually made it to 13th on my linebacking big board. So,
Villanova retired.
But, anyways, boys, should we kick her there?
Let Russ cook.
Let Russ cook, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Post-Combine Draft Addicts episode. And once again, on behalf of Fishing Elephant Media, to you.